Welcome back to the third episode of Mayday Mondays. I'm Zach Joyner, the executive producer and webmaster of Spidey-Dude.com. In this third episode, we're going to cover issue 2 of the 1998 Spider-Girl series, and I am joined by the dynamic duo of Mayday Mondays, Gerard de la Tour, the host.
He must fight a giant spider in the third act.
And Jason H.
The irredeemable Shag. Oh, wait a second, that's trademarked. Never mind.
You're welcome, Michael Bailey. In this particular episode, we have no emails. We have no voicemails. But the email address is maydaymondays@gmail.com, all lowercase, all one word. And you can also leave us a voicemail at the Spidey-Dude.com voicemail inbox. Do it, because Ron Friend did it. You have no excuse. We're just going to go straight into our reviews, and I'm going to turn the ball over to Jason, who has the rundown this episode.
Okay, thank you. So, this is Spider-Girl issue number 2. The cover has Spider-Girl fighting Crazy 8, and in the background is Dark Devil, who looks suspiciously like Daredevil with vampire fangs. We'll get there.
And evil red eyes. Don't forget about the evil red eyes.
Yes, and it says,
Those
Devil.
horrible red eyes!
So, this issue starts with our girl May beating up some thugs who don't know who she is. One thinks she might be Stinger from A-Next, which annoys her. It's actually pretty funny. Another one calls her a witch, and she says he's lucky he didn't use the B word. An explosion goes off, and Crazy 8 appears. Crazy 8, that's the villain on the cover, as a, Crazy 8-ball motif. He's got 8s all over him, and he throws exploding 8 balls. Hence the name Crazy 8. Anyway, he's tougher than she expects, and she nearly gets her butt whooped, and she ends up running off. Crazy 8 and his goons head off before the 5-0 show up. May is shaken, realizing that she... May is shaken, realizing she could have been killed, when Dark Devil appears and chastises her for being young, inexperienced, and dumb. But he also tells her to meet him at... I'm just telling it like it is. But he also tells her to meet him at Pier 87 tomorrow evening. He disappears, leaving May feeling insecure. She heads home and looks in the mirror, wondering if she's doing the right thing. Peter and Mary Jane lie awake in their bed, concerned about May. In the morning, May overhears her parents discussing, that they should be discussing with her. They need to talk to her, basically. At school, Jimmy Yama wants to talk to May. But before he can say anything, Moose slams into him, and they nearly fight. This seems to be a recurring theme. At lunch, May goes to see her dad at the police station, but before she does, she chats with Uncle Phil. She and her dad have a lunch in a 6-page Bendis-style panel, which I don't know if that's... I don't know if that was meant as, kind of a joke, or it's just... Because it's done...
I actually have that in my notes, but here's the thing. This is before Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's the thing, because this was 98, before decompression, became, the norm. But if anyone reads the comic book Invincible, which our friend Tyler does a podcast about, they do the same thing, where they do, the 6 panels that don't change, and then just change the words, and they're in that one they're specifically mocking, the Bendis style of writing. So I don't know, it's just kind of one of those things that's kind of funny in hindsight. I'm sure he wasn't trying to mock anyone, but it almost feels like, a subtle jab at modern writing, even though it's probably not. Anyway, back at school, she learns that Jimmy and Moose are going to fight. When no one is around and his back is turned, May, this is one of my favorite moments, she shoves Moose into his locker and then twists the handle, breaking it in a way so he can't get out. And she walks down looking kind of smug. She announced to a gathered crowd that there will be no fight, and they all leave disappointed because apparently these are a bunch of really bloodthirsty high schoolers. In all fairness, I've taught high school. Yeah, that's actually not all that far off.
Fight, 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 fight.
It's true. Anyway, after school, we go to the evening. Crazy 8's goons are unloading boxes on the pier. May throws one through a door. The door shatters, cool slow-mo bullet time effect with splinters going everywhere, and easily dispatches his other men before fighting Crazy 8. She holds her own against Crazy 8, and he actually talks about how he respects her before she manages to knock him out. Her spider sense tingles, and she turns around, and Dark Devil is standing in the shadows, where he mocks her inexperience and youth and being stupid again. The issue ends with May pondering the irony of having Crazy 8's respect and Dark Devil thinking she's an idiot.
Well, Dark Devil's a stupid face.
I'm sorry, Dark Devil, not Daredevil. Although that's kind of the design they're going for.
You know what makes me sad? In my copy, like after the final page, you have Stan's soapbox, which I miss, and like bullpen bulletins, which I miss.
I remember those. I'm using because I'm lazy. I'm using my trade, so I don't see those.
At least you guys know where the issue ends. In my digest, they blacked out the box at the bottom right that probably says the end or to be continued or whatever.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I don't think mine says the end. It's just, in mine, the next page says "Fun and Games with the Fantastic Five." Tom DeFalco writer, so it's kind of obviously the next issue.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, another good issue. Pat Olive's art is good. We actually get to see May fighting back in the costume, which is good. I know we've all discussed how much we love the costume. I can't complain about the story. My only thing is, I really hated Dark Devil when he first showed up. Like, really hated him for mocking May the way he did. He later ends up becoming one of my favorite characters, but that's not for 30 or 40 issues down the line.
Oh, probably.
And
because the thing, much like Nova when he first shows up, he's just really antagonistic.
To this day, I still hate Nova. Like, even in other stuff, like, I'm excited for Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie, and I saw the trailer, and then it's like, Nova, I'm like, oh, stupid freaking Nova. I hate that guy. He's such a jerk.
Wait, Nova's showing up in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, well, the whole Nova Corps is. Yeah, John C. Reilly's playing one of the Nova initiates.
Oh my gosh, I could not figure out where I saw that little... Okay, yeah.
Anyway, yes, so, likes, again, good art, fun issue. I think I like the setup for Spider-Girl's world. We're getting some interesting world building here. Crazy 8, he's a decent villain. He's not a great villain. We'll get some interesting developments with him later. Spider-Girl's Rogues Gallery starts getting stronger about midway through, I want to say.
Yeah.
That's fair. The thing is, a lot of her best villains that I can immediately think of off the top of my head are actually characters that predate Spider-Girl, people like the Hobgoblin and Lady Octopus and things like that. I tend to think of them as being her biggest villains, and they're not really unique to Spider-Girl. So.
Well, no, but I was thinking of I guess Black Tarantula is...
He's also a pretty
yeah, but the one she fights is Black Tarantula's son, right?
Well, true, because Black Tarantula is a legacy thing that's passed down from
generation. Okay, I know. Crazy 8, no, I mean, like I said, we'll get some interesting developments with Crazy 8 and his evil brother, but I think Crazy 8's utterly psychotic mother is a bit more interesting. Although, again, I don't want to go too far ahead. Issue 8 also has Crazy 8 and Mr. Nobody, and that issue's also that's just fantastic. So
this really firmly establishes all the major players, because Dark Devil is a major player in this series, and
not all. I mean, Lady Hawk's not established yet. There's still a few people to introduce.
I mean, there's still probably 4 or 5 that become major players, but of the absolutely I can't imagine Spider-Girl without Dark Devil.
Oh no, absolutely not.
But he is a definite jerk in this issue. He's trying to scare her away because we find out that he has his own specific motivations.
Can't say what they are right now, right? I mean, I know this is an older series and spoilers don't really work, but I assume we're trying not to
keep it to yourself.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're kind of like let me put it this way: if you've read the Song of Ice and Fire books, you can't go and just spoil what's going to happen next season in Game of Thrones, even though I know what's going to happen, because then the internet will hate me.
Right. Fun fact, looking at this bullpen bulletins, Peter Parker Spider-Man number 97 came out this month. The same week, I guess, as Spider-Girl.
Oh, is that
Gathering of the Five?
That's final chapter. Yeah.
That is not only final chapter, that is also the issue where the baby reversal occurs.
then I can say wholeheartedly that Spider-Girl #2 was the best Spider-Man issue released that month.
It definitely was.
Boy.
Definitely was.
Yeah.
I one of these days we have to get Greenberg to talk about that era of Spider-Man. We just have to on CSC. I mean, because there's so much I want to ask. I want to be like, so the baby situation. Let's talk about it.
Oh man, I feel like that's a whole conversation itself.
So what did you guys think about this issue?
Oh, I thought it was great too.
I love this issue.
Probably not as good as as #1 or What If, but
yeah, but that's the thing with Spider-Girl. Like I said, I don't think there's no bad issues. I think it's mostly going to be, most of my grades are probably going to be A and B's. I can't think of anything that I've read and go, wow, that sucked. It's just some issues are really, really strong, and some issues are just solid.
I have a question. Question to our resident artist and host.
Yeah.
Does Pat Olive's style kind of remind you of a Ron Frenz circa 1984?
The problem with me thinking of Ron Frenz circa 1984 is I have a hard time knocking out modern Ron Frenz from my mind. So for whatever reason, I can't quite see it. But
I'm talking about like what way he draws faces and stuff. It's kind of Dicko-ish.
There's a similarity there.
There's kind of Dicko-ish and stuff like that. Especially like the scene. Like what really jumped out at me is the scene with the one we've made fun of, the scene with Peter and May in the diner.
I think Olive and Friends both do faces better than Ditko.
Agreed, but there's definitely a Ditko.
I think I understand what you mean by in the sense that they tend to draw certain characters' faces with much more cartoonish proportion. Mm-hmm. Like Mayday, especially in this issue, has a. I sort of made fun of in a recent Quill Saga Chronicles. We were talking about an issue of Scarlet Spider that was drawn by Carlo Barberi. Remember how he was sort of lightly mocking him by saying his characters had pizza-shaped heads?
Yeah.
Mayday has quite a bit of pizza head in this issue, where it's wide at the top and then tapers downwards. But oddly, she's the only character that looks like that, which makes it work for me.
Right.
Because it makes her look more distinctive than the other characters.
She definitely looks like her dad, circa 1984. Like those issues, particularly with those issues like with Mary Jane and Peter talking, definitely see her looking like her father in that. And eventually, she looks more like her dad in these issues, like early on, and then eventually, especially once Ron takes over, there's much more of a look of her mom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, in this issue, unlike, I guess Ron Friends did the first issue. You were talking about the way you draw women's noses going with the down instead of the over. It's drawn as down, like you were saying this time. But I guess that's because Pat Olive's drawing it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think about that.
And Pat Olive has a distinctive set of faces. He's definitely like Mark Bagley in that regard. Like, you can always tell when Mark Bagley's drawing a comic because there's a certain way he does faces. Same thing with Pat Olive.
Mm-hmm. Most artists are that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes to their benefit, sometimes to their detriment.
Yeah.
Depending on which person you're talking about. Todd McFarlane doesn't so much draw the faces looking similar as much as he just draws them not looking like human beings. With their giant potato noses and awkwardly misplaced eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah. So,
what else do you think, Zach, about this?
I think McFarlane's better at drawing monsters than people. I quite like his dragons and stuff.
Well, his people also look like monsters.
I was trying to be positive. Thanks, guys.
I like Crazy 8's visual. I like the kind of Spider-esque like leaping onto the page that you see. He's got like the what is the guitarist name from Queen?
Brian May.
Brian May, thank you. Brian May's hair, peeking out with the 8-ball. Like,
oh, he definitely has the 80s rocker hair.
Oh yeah, 70s, 80s rocker hair. Yeah, definitely. I like the way he's introduced. I like the way that Mayday's, doesn't immediately just kick its tail. I like Dark Devil's first appearance and her kind of challenging Mayday. At the same time, you would have thought that he would have given her a little credit, but I think he's trying to keep her out of the hero biz out of respect.
Well, I think a lot of it, though, is also that element of you're going to be the sort of acerbic, I'm testing you sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where he's testing her, but in order to do that, he needs to keep her at a certain level of
arm's length.
I want to say emotional distance.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want her to grow attached to him in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Which is we'll see whether or not that holds up throughout his characterization, but especially early on, he really is just a jerk to her.
Yeah.
And belittles her attempts at heroism.
Stupid head.
But we'll see as the show and the series goes on. You'll see how that changes. Definitely.
No, like I said, later on when we learn more about his characters and motivations, he becomes one of my favorite characters. But when I first read it, I was like, "Screw this guy! He's a jerk. I don't like him."
But that's intentional.
And
I know.
I'm gonna go on my mini rant.
Mm-hmm. You have the floor.
My one problem with Daredevil, and it's kind of spoilery, so I'm trying not to do it in spoilers, is that certain people that should know his origins don't ever find out his origins throughout the entire series.
Yeah, but
some people who should know, no one finds out.
Yeah,
I figured I figured we would cover that when we come to that, because that's.
I mean,
we never come to that.
Yeah, I just
no. I mean, when the readers find out about his origins, I figured we'd come to about that. Oh, hey, how come these other people who should know it don't?
It's the 500-pound elephant in the room. I think it's appropriate to discuss it now.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
that's. Like, when we get there, I think Spider-Girl The End is a nearly perfect finale. That was my only thing. They never addressed that, and I was like, I'm sorry, go ahead, Zach.
There was a giant joke. I think it was in the Venom, Normie Venom arc with Spider-Girl, where Mary Jane points out, who does that look like? And Peter goes, Tobey Maguire. That was great.
Yeah.
But, it's like... And it kind of goes to the problem that Peter never knew Elizabeth Tyne. So I can see that, but...
Do we find out, if Elizabeth is dead at this point, or do we ever find out what happened to her?
I think she died in prison.
Okay. See, I haven't read all of the, the Ben Reilly miniseries about...
Redemption?
No, not just that one. It's like the 5-part Ben Reilly miniseries by Dean Pace and Romita Jr.
Lost Years? No. Lost Years takes place before Redemption, though.
Yeah, okay, Lost Years. But that's when Elizabeth Tyne first shows up, right? I've never read that.
You never... Oh, dude.
Not the whole thing.
God.
I read, the first 2 issues.
You've never read... Oh, my God. It's only 3 issues.
Yeah, it's only 3 issues, but
it's... I thought it was 6.
No, it's... Well, there's a total of 7 issues if you combine Redemption and Lost Years.
Yeah, but what kind of putz would do that? Not the same story.
Yeah.
They even take place in the same time period.
No, they don't. But no... Lost Years is awesome, and Redemption is almost as good.
Lost Years is my favorite Ben Reilly story, Jason.
And Redemption is one of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite Ben Reilly as Spider-Man stories, period.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely the highlight of that run, which we'll get to on Clone Saga Chronicles.
You've been saying that for years, Zach.
Hey, we eventually got the live colors, so it only took 2 years. Anyway, but getting back to the issue at hand, I liked the way you can tell Pat is still trying to feel out in these early issues how he's going to do certain poses of May. So there is a little bit of inconsistency with the artwork that is much more. Obviously, it comes with time, but overall, I like what he did with her, and I just like the issue.
That's not a negative. I find that tends to be the case with almost every launch of something where in the early issues you do have to feel out where everything, because it's very rare that everything just falls into place immediately.
Yeah, usually if that happens, it's they've drawn the character before and they're spinning him off in their own title.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can go back to those early Amazing Spider-Man issues and find all sorts of wacky things, like him using his webs to glide and things like that just make no sense.
Yeah.
The thing I mentioned, what did you guys think about the 6-panel Bendis speech, which wasn't actually Bendis speak, I suppose?
It was jarring. It was jarring. I wrote it down in my notes. In fact, my specific note says, Bendis-esque scene done before USA.
Yeah, because I forgot about it, and I was like, what's this doing here?
They do this a few times in the first few issues. I seem to recall a bit with Jimmy thinking or something like that.
It is cinematic, and I get why they use that as right.
It does. This is nowadays such a Bendis trademark that it's hard to separate.
Yeah, but I actually didn't mind this because it shows the awkwardness.
I didn't say I minded it. Like I said, it was just I forgot about it, and it's weird to see it in a pre 2000 comic. Was that when Ultimate Spider-Man launched? 2000?
Yeah,
yes.
and that's actually the particular scene I was talking about, like Ron Friends, circa 1984. Definitely, that was where it popped out at me as I'm following along in the recap.
But I think we have to be careful to establish this is not the disparaging thing towards the issue at all, because it actually works in this context.
No, I'm not trying to...
It just is just something that you see so often nowadays, and it's an effective, illustrative device.
But it's a little jarring because, DeFalco doesn't use it all that much because he doesn't do decompression. And
this is abandoned after the first year or so of Spider-Girl. You don't see it again.
And the other thing is, and you can see this certainly in when he was writing the Clone Saga, is he would, it's never mean, but he'll occasionally poke fun at current trends in comics. Like actually, there's actually later, and I think it's in Spectacular Spider-Girl, where one of the villains goes on a rant about how we need to be grim and gritty, and it's the only way we can be relevant in this modern world, and it's obviously one whole giant poking fun at how dark modern comics have become, and I thought it was hilarious. Well,
the over-sexualization of girls or females in comics is also made fun of in the Amazing Spider-Girl #1.
Right. Oh yeah, the whole Spider-Girl comic.
Yeah.
That they're working on in story.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, of course. That's one of my favorite bits. It's very, very 90s style art and everything.
Yes.
Man, you bring up so much great stuff I want to talk about, and then I realize how much distance is between now and then. Ugh,
but there's all this great stuff in between, too, so it's like, we don't have enough time to talk about everything.
I gotta say, I like the issue. I'm gonna give it a B+. Not quite an A. It's not quite as good as the first issue was. And I think there's mainly little things about the artwork, but... overall, story's good, the drama's good, but not quite to the same level as the first issue.
Mm-hmm. I think, for me, the thing that jumps out at me the most about this issue is that there's a whole tension between May, Peter, and Phil as a result of her activities. There's a great little scene where it's something along the effects of, she's talking to Phil Urich, and he mentions to her that he found some webbing at the crime scene, and she goes, "Have you told my dad?" And he sort of looks at her with his eyebrow cocked, going, "Should I?" That sort of establishes right there what their relationship's going to be like for a lot of the series, where he essentially plays the role of secret keeper, you could say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
Where at the same, and then it's the very next page is that scene we were talking about with May and Peter in the restaurant,
and if you
where it's deliberately, and you see there's a wide gap in their relationship suddenly, almost to a sort of weird reversal to the way you would expect it.
Right.
Where you think that Phil finding the webbing would make it much more tense between them. But
it's clear that, one, Peter did tell Phil and did trust him with the secret.
Mm-hmm.
And two, Phil, in this book, I love Phil.
Oh, me too.
And fans of Phil that read him throughout this series and see that this is what he could have been. And I could see what Josh and Don were saying back on Clone Saga Chronicles about him eventually turning into the big-time Hobgoblin.
I to go there, but okay, we're going there. That's why people were upset about it.
Yeah, people. If you were a reader of Spider-Girl and you were a fan of Phil Urich in the Spider-Girl universe, I can absolutely see it. Like I was. I absolutely understood why people were upset with Phil Urich becoming the Hobgoblin.
Upset? As you may recall, I was writing reviews of the issues at the time on Crawlspace, and I flipped my lid.
Yeah.
I absolutely flipped my lid reviewing that one.
You turned some tables over and were chasing them out with a freaking stick.
Crazy 8 and Dark Devil in this story. The May's dialogue and thoughts and things like that is point out that both of them are pre-established characters in her universe, even though this is their first appearances in comics. I have mixed feelings on that. I don't quite know if I think that's a good thing or not. I think it's a good thing that it establishes that there are other characters around. They don't just all suddenly appear when she appears. But at the same time, it's a little weird because I feel like it sort of robs you of... I don't quite know how to describe it. It sort of robs you of that moment where somebody first bursts onto the scene and people's reactions to it. Because if they already exist previously, then you feel like you've just walked in 15 minutes into the movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Are you okay with that, or?
I'm okay with that because you'll eventually find out more about the character. This is just the introduction.
For both of them, actually.
Yeah.
It more or less works out okay.
All right. Just curious. This is a little thing that was bugging me. I have written in my notes, Mayday the Mediator, because she really does take that role in this comic, just like she did in the previous one, much more so here, where she breaks up the fight and things like that. And sure, like, the fight is rolling to some sort of inevitable confrontation, but certainly not in this issue, because she does her best to stick her way in there. But it establishes her character quite a bit, because she becomes much like that in her costume persona, too, where she spends as much time trying to prevent things from exploding than she does actually trying to fight. So I think it's interesting that we actually see some origins of that in the high school setting. It's an interesting way to set that up. And it also establishes a lot about her fighting style. 'Cause I don't know if this is something Zach was talking about with the posing and the artwork and things like that, but to me, the distinctiveness of her character starts to take hold in here, because there's a lot more acrobatics than there are actual, like, hits.
She's a much more athletic fighter than Peter is. Or maybe agile is the better word.
Maybe. It's hard to describe, but she spends a lot of time basically confusing them, or a lot of maneuvering rather than just outright socking people in the face, which to me makes her distinctive. So when people say that it's just another carbon copy of Spider-Man, that's one of the things that disproves it, to me at least. One other random little note I have here, there's a reference to Obnoxio the Clown in this issue. Did you guys catch that?
No.
At one point, Jimmy is yelling at Moose, I think?
Most likely Moose.
And he calls him Obnoxio the Clown. Do you guys get the reference?
No, who's Obnoxio the Clown? Obviously obnoxious.
Obnoxio the Clown was the mascot to one of Marvel's humor magazines in the late 70s.
Oh.
So the crickets come, everybody's like, what? I think later he got folded into the X-Men universe and was a villain.
That's getting obscure, man. Nice.
That is really obscure. If you've played Spider-Man X-Men Arcade's Revenge on the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo, he's the clown who's running around attacking Wolverine in his stage.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I gotcha.
It's a really obscure reference for this comic, though.
Yeah, it is.
Incredibly obscure. I don't quite know where he was going with that one, but it jumped out at me immediately. But anyway, it was Crazy. It was the magazine that he was the mascot of. I remember now. But anyway, yeah, really good issue. Not quite as good as the other ones. I think with Zach here is like a B+, somewhere around there. I think a lot of what hurts it, though, is that Crazy 8 at this point is just sort of a really jarringly silly character. I like his design, don't get me wrong. Especially his... I could do without the 80s, or the 70s rock hair, but...
I kind of think the fact that he's got the 80s hair metal hair just kind of makes it better.
Oh, man, each his own. But yeah, I like his costume, I like his gimmick. It is unique, I'll give him that.
I imagine that when he's throwing, his crazy balls, all of a sudden, We're Not Gonna Take It starts playing. So, Robbery, we're not gonna take it.
And you got...
I do have questions where he pulls all these 8 balls from, though.
He's fourth dimensional.
Because his costume doesn't have... It's not like he's like, the Green Goblin where he's carrying his, satchel or whatever.
Man purse.
Look, Indiana Jones carries a satchel.
Okay, Glenn from Hangover.
No, but it's a similar thing. No, the man purse is a smaller thing, like a larger one, like a messenger bag or satchel or something. I don't know, semantics. But he doesn't have one of these. He just has the 8 balls somehow, and he's wearing a skin tight costume. I don't know. That's weird. Maybe that's what the hair is for. Maybe he just pulls it out of the hair. I don't know. But he always seems to have a lot of them. He's chucking them everywhere.
You know what? It's probably stored in there. That's a question we should ask Tom DeFalco.
But do you guys have anything else to add about this issue?
No, I think I've pretty well covered it. But before we go, we have to mention our obligatory mention of our various ways of contacting us. Gerard, what's the email?
It's maydaymondays@gmail.com.
And
maydaymondays, all one word, @gmail.com.
If you want to leave us a voicemail, you can leave us a voicemail at 818-925-6631. That's 818-925-6631 or 818-9-CLONE-1. Hey, Jason, can you find us on Facebook and Twitter?
I don't use Twitter, but you can certainly find us on Facebook. You go to Facebook and type in Spidey Dude, home of the Clone Saga Chronicles and Spectacular Radio, and you can give us a like.
Yes, give us a like and leave us a comment on this show. And one thing I haven't really talked about, I didn't talk about this on when we did our recording for Clone Saga Chronicles, but I do want to mention it here. What we're doing, every time we release an episode, you'll actually see the episode cover for all the shows. So that'll be our profile pic every time we have a new episode. So if you're just if you see us change our profile picture and you happen to miss the post, talking about the actual uploading of the episode, you can always tell what episode we're working on or we just released by looking at a profile pic on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. I feel silly because we always mention all this stuff. We never actually tell them to go to SpideyDude.com.
I know, right? and you can always go to Spidey-Dude.com because that's where everything's at. That's where you can download all of our shows, whether it be Spectacular Radio, Clone Saga Chronicles, or this show, Mayday Mondays. You can also find us all on iTunes. Anyway, that wraps up this episode of Mayday Mondays, a Spidey-Dude.com production and a part of the Spidey-Dude.com network. We'll see you next time. And remember,
make mine Mayday.
Make mine Mayday.
And make mine Mayday. Mondays, that is.
But Tish. Jason has the recap for this one.
Okay.
Oh, all right. I got it written down. We're good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just kind of I'll take this bull and play with it. Wait.
Whoa. What?
Take this bull by the horns. Okay, so here we go. Coming down in 3, 2. Open up Pamela. I stopped that.
A 1, a 2, a 3.
3.
Okay. Coming down in 3.
Oh, he does a count. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he does.
Cool.
He does a countdown just the same way.
I didn't know he could count.
Oh, come on now, Jason. Give him some credit. It's only up to 3.
Yeah.
Saying we have no email or voicemail makes it sound so sad.
Right. But for this episode, we're not gonna cover the emails and the voicemails. But you know,
it's okay. We can let them in on the joke. We're recording episodes 2 and 3 in the same night, so
yeah.
Since we did all the emails and voicemails and stuff in the previous episode, we don't have it.
If we had enough foresight, we should have done like the voicemail and then do the emails in another episode. But whatever. Anyway.
Yeah. Why would we do that?
Yeah. Why would we plan things ahead? I don't know.
In fact, you make it sound like I couldn't just magically edit it to make it seem like we did that, even though we actually didn't do it that way. Oh! I'm doing the Dr. Evil Pinky right now.
Gerard, are you suggesting that it's magic and we don't have to explain it? Because if so, I'm very disappointed in you.
Dun 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 dun! Oh, it's magic!
You know. Okay. Anyway, so anyways.
Maybe it's blacked out.
Be here next week when we talk about the fun and games of the Fantastic Five.
Yeah. That's episode
anyway.
3 or 4. Issue 3.
So this was
Apparently Zach can't count higher than 3 either.
Well,
To tie it back to another thing that's edited out, man. We're making references to things that aren't even in episodes, so...
Yeah.
Our continuity is that good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can go back to those early Amazing Spider-Man issues and find all sorts of wacky things, like him using his webs to glide and things like that. That doesn't make no sense.
Yeah. See Amazing Spider-Man Classics for that.
Or not, because that show is deader than disco.
Well, you can still go back and listen to the first, 45 issues worth of Amazing Spider-Man.
I don't remember.
By our good friends Joshua Lambertoni and Donovan Morgan Grant.
Hey, I'm even on one of those episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
okay, anyway. End editing. What? I'm leaving notes to myself. It's so weird.
Hey, sometimes you get to.
I know.
This
is the stuff that I find that's the stuff that's easy to edit out, or it's just long jags of stuff that doesn't go in the episode.
Yes, that's exactly. It's the little.
It's all the little pauses in between that take them all the time.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Welcome, my world. Welcome to it.
Because in the late 70s, early 80s, Marvel had a whole line of magazines they were throwing out.
Yeah.
Some of them were the horror magazines.
Yeah, I remember they tried some stuff.
They had
superheroes.
Yeah, they had a few comedy ones, like Not Brand X.
I remember that one actually. I've got a couple of reprints of it.
Okay, it's very ironic you mentioned that because in the Stan Soapbox, somebody asked him about Not Brand X. I kid you not.
It all ties together somehow.
Yes.
I think Crazy was basically their knockoff version of Cracked. Or like Mad Magazine, but I don't remember. I mean, obviously I wasn't alive in the late 70s, I couldn't tell you, but... But he always seems to have a lot of them, but he's chucking them everywhere.
You know what? It's probably stored in there. That's a question we should ask Tom DeFalco.
Maybe it's stored in his hair.
Wow, you were late to the party because we were just making that reference like a good 20 seconds ago.
My headphone cut out for a second.
It's okay, Jason. I'm patting you on the head right now. You can relax.
We'll be here next week when we take on fun and games of the Fantastic Five.
Saying next week, you're putting pressure on me to edit these fast.
Yeah, next time here on Cold Stuff. Oh my God.
It was bound to happen.
Next time
same
on Mayday.
spider time, same spider channel.
Will Mayday ever find out the truth about Dark Devil?
Answer no.
Will she fight a giant spider in the third act?
Jason, do you know the Facebook number?
Facebook
The
number?
Facebook- God. Oh my
No,
God.
I don't know the Facebook number offhand.
Do you know the voicemail number?
No, no one knows the voice.
No.
But you,
Okay. Okay.
You're the
All right.
only one who
All
knows
right.
that.
Okay. I'll just ask.
It's 9:1, but I can never remember
But
what
I
the hell
don't.
the
But
number
I don't feel
is.
too bad about not knowing the Facebook number because I don't think anyone else knows the Facebook number either.
Okay.
How do I unsend the email?
You can and while you're there, you can buy a bunch of weird Japanese products that we don't know.
Don't forget the hyphen. Don't forget the hyphen.
That's important. That's why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah, if you end up on a site selling Japanese products, it has nothing to do with us.
It once did have something to do with us, but Zach got in a knife fight and lost. Some
You fought the law one?
Yeah, no, I fought some Japanese gangs and
Was it hand ninjas, Zach?
hand ninjas? Yes, trying to resurrect Dr. Octopus again. Or you can you find us on Facebook, Jason?
Probably.
Jason, you are totally awful at this. I'm trying to say you're supposed to be like, yes, you can find us.
I know. I'm being a jerk.
Okay,